Good morning, everybody. It's Mr. Bitcoin Maxi. Now, have you ever sat back and asked yourself, what if the difference between freedom and frustration wasn't how much money you make, but how often you put that money to work? Because when it comes to Bitcoin, that's exactly the game. It's not just if you buy, it's how you buy. Today, Bitcoin trades for around $103,365 per coin at the time of recording this video. So even a small fraction, 0.01 Bitcoin equals about $1,033. Now, here's the wild part. How you choose to stack that small fraction daily, weekly, or monthly completely changes how your financial life feels. Now, each schedule has pros and cons and a different kind of psychological power. Daily stacking builds discipline. Weekly stacking builds rhythm. Monthly stacking builds leverage. And by the time we hit the 4-minute mark in this video, you'll already know how much one fits your personality. When you decide to buy Bitcoin consistently, you're doing something most people never do. You're detaching from the dollar system. You're saying, I don't want to hold something that loses value quietly every year. I want to own something that grows in scarcity while the world inflates away. Now, if you've ever been to the gym, think of stacking Bitcoin the same way. It's like gym reps. You don't get fit lifting weights once, you grow by showing up again and again and again. That's what daily stacking, weekly, or monthly stacking really is. 3 different ways of showing up financially. So let's compare them, starting with the one that's all about habit, daily stacking. Now imagine you wake up, sip your coffee, and stack $5 of Bitcoin every single day. $5 a day is $35 a week. That's about $150 per month. At today's price, $103,365, that's roughly 0.00145 Bitcoin per month. Now, by the end of the year, you'd have close to 0.017 Bitcoin, worth around $1,760 if the price stayed flat. Now, let's say Bitcoin doubles again like it has before. That's $3,500. If it hits $250,000, you're sitting on over $4,000. But the real win isn't the number, it's the identity shift. When you stack daily, you wire your brain to think in Bitcoin terms. You stop thinking, how much money do I have? And start thinking, how much time and freedom am I storing? It's small, consistent, yet powerful. Now the downside, transaction fees can eat you up if you're not using a low fee platform. But if you automate it through a single daily debit or Lightning app, you're golden. Now, the weekly stacking is for the builder who wants balance, not too micro, not too macro. Let's say you buy $50 every Friday, payday style. That's $200 per month. $200 divided by 103,000 gives you roughly 0.00194 Bitcoin each month. Do that for a full year and you've stacked around 0.023 Bitcoin, a little over $2,300 worth at today's price. Now in 5 years, that's about 0.115 Bitcoin, the same as owning roughly $11,800 at today's level, or potentially 50,000 plus if Bitcoin returns to the highs many analysts predict for the next cycle. Here's why weekly stacking works psychologically. It creates rhythm. You don't have to check your phone every day. You're not stressing over dips, and yet you're still stacking often enough to feel connected. It's the best middle ground between discipline and sanity. And if you build a habit of Friday stacks, you'll start associating the end of the work week with buying freedom. That's a powerful mental reframe. You stop living for the weekend and start stacking toward the weekend. Now let's talk about the heavy hitter, monthly stacking. This is for the person who likes big, focused moves, or just gets paid once a month. Say you invest $500 on the first of every month. That's about 0.0048 Bitcoin. By year's end, you'd own 0.058 Bitcoin. That's around $6,000 of Bitcoin today. Hold that for 5 years and you'd be sitting on nearly 0.3 Bitcoin. If Bitcoin reaches $500,000, that's $150,000. If Bitcoin reaches 1 million, that's $300,000. Monthly stacking isn't about small motions. It's about impact. You make fewer moves, but each one actually hits harder. The benefit is simplicity. Set it, forget it, and let the asset work for you. Now, the risk, you could miss the lowest dips since you're buying only once a month. But in the grand scheme of things, it hardly matters because time in the market beats timing the market every single cycle. Now let's lay it out clean. Daily stacking builds discipline. Weekly stacking builds momentum. Monthly stacking builds leverage. Over a 5-year horizon, the daily stacker builds roughly 0.08 Bitcoin total. Yet the weekly stacker builds roughly 0.11 Bitcoin. The monthly stacker builds roughly 0.3 Bitcoin. But here's the thing. All three paths lead to freedom if you stay consistent. It's not about which one makes you richer. It's about which one you can stick with long enough to change your life. Now, here's the truth that most people miss. The habit you can maintain is more valuable than the strategy you can't. Daily stacking changes your mindset. Weekly stacking changes your system. Monthly stacking changes your scale. Freedom isn't just financial, it's mental. If you can stack without stress, you're already free from the system that keeps most people broke. And if you can hold that habit for 5 years, you'll look back and realize that every tiny buy was a step closer to independence. Now, at today's price, even owning zero point 0.1 Bitcoin, about $10,300 worth, puts you ahead of more than 98% of the world's population. Now, imagine what that number feels 5 years from now. Now, if you're still with me, I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. 1, what's my cash flow rhythm? 2, what keeps me consistent? And 3, what kind of freedom do I crave? If you love discipline and routine, I suggest going daily. If you value balance and flow, I would go weekly. If you like automation and big plays, go monthly. There's no wrong answer, okay? There's only doing nothing. The people who win in Bitcoin aren't the ones who bought the bottom. They're the ones who kept buying while everyone else is hesitating. Now, here's my recommendation on how to start. Set an auto buy on your favorite exchange. Pick your rhythm, daily, weekly, or monthly. Don't forget it. Don't wait for the perfect dip, okay? Because every day you hesitate, the global supply tightens. And I want you to remember, like I stress in all my other videos, there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, and nearly 19.5 million have already been mined. That leaves less than 2 million coins ever to be released, ever. And some have already been lost and will continue to be lost. Now, do the math. The supply is shrinking, demand is growing, and each sat you stack today is a claim on future freedom. So please trust me when I say you don't need to own a whole Bitcoin to be free. You need a plan and the discipline to stack with it. Daily stacking trains your habits. Weekly stacking trains your system. Monthly stacking trains your patience. Freedom isn't about how much Bitcoin you have. It's about what kind of person you become while stacking it. So right now, pick your lane, set your auto buy, and promise yourself that for the next year, you'll stay consistent no matter what. After that year, my recommendation is never to stop stacking Bitcoin no matter what the price is. Because the truth is, freedom isn't giving, it's stacked. If this hit home for you, drop a comment, daily stacker, weekly stacker, or monthly stacker. Let's see who's building their way out of the system. And remember, time in the market, not timing the market. Keep stacking, keep believing, and I'll see you all in the next video. I'm Mr. Bitcoin Maxi, and we are all Bitcoin Maxis, and I hope you all have a good day.